Hello, and welcome back to the Moments That Matter podcast. I am your host, Laura Escamilla, and today we're continuing the conversation with our friends, Karen and Selena, as Karen prepares to send her oldest daughter off to college. Enjoy. Another thing that we had a discussion on that you may want to discuss, your expectations for communication. Because my kids, I just asked, just FaceTime me once. Proof of life. I want to see your face. And like I said, Lucas was very much like, I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to text you. But you know what? He called me more than Skylar did. He had a class that was across campus, and he'd call me when he got out of class while he walked to his dorm room. Just
a good little routine.
Yeah.
That's what it becomes. Yes.
Yeah. And it was
That's
just to vent and tell me what happened in class. I wasn't required to really say anything. He just talked and that was fine. And how was class? And he just told me, okay, I'm in my room. Okay, love you. Bye. And that was it. And that's what I got. And I took it. I took what I got.
Yes, take what you get.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they are different. Oh my goodness. And they just get busy. We want an instantaneous, please send me a message.
You're not going to
Say
get a
hi, Mom,
response
something.
immediately.
It's just so hard to untangle my life from her. We're
Right.
so
Yeah.
tangled right now. But that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're right. Maybe even if once she gets settled in, like, okay, hey, let's try to call, on Sunday night. Just see how you're doing. Because sometimes you try calling them and they just never answer. And never answer. And even a text, don't
And
respond.
sometimes
And
their awake time is my sleepy time. Like,
yes, that too.
yeah.
That's true.
That is true.
And that was one of the, I think, biggest things that I learned is just you have to express what you're hoping to get. But that it's important to me, I at least once a week hear from you, just so that they know.
Not going to read my mind.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things. Off air, we discussed the FERPA and
Yes.
communication. The other big thing was you have to tell me about your grades because you're not going to have access to their grades and you're not going to know
I'm
how they're
already
doing.
learning that. She
Yeah.
has to have a 2-step authorization process to get information that I have no access to.
Yes.
Yes.
And you're going to have to tell me. And you're going to have to be honest if you're struggling, if you're doing well, and that kind of thing. And I expect that because I am paying for it.
Yeah.
But nothing too crazy, nothing like every day. How are you doing? Just check in.
Yeah.
How are grades? How are classes?
Yes. And I know sometimes they need support. Sometimes they start going through those stresses. Absolutely. Projects coming up, midterms all within a week and a half period. And just say, hey, what's coming up? How's your schedule looking? How are you doing? Because that's when you really notice a little shift in their voice. And, missing home, that's part of it.
That's real
real.
too.
But I think it was always just like, what are they up to? What have you been doing? Because you really want to know that. And then, of course, I think it is important about the grades to be realistic about that too, because we don't have access to them. But that's the purpose that they're there. They're academics
For
and
sure.
to get their college degree. So you do want to be informed about that too. And if they're struggling, you want to know that, hey, what can we do? Because they offer so many resources when it comes to tutors, teaching assistants, TAs, and they so encourage that. I think while we're on this topic is, gosh, I can't say enough. Professors want kids to go talk to them. They want to go during their office hours, even just to say, hi, this is who I am. Not to go when you're about to fail a class and they need your help. I mean, they encourage that so much. I don't know how many times, like the orientation we've gone to, professors are yearning for that. Like, come to my class. Hey, ask a question, whatever it is. And one of my kids was so good about that. And, and it really makes a difference. They knew her by name and Alejandro was okay. He's still getting through that. But they get busy and like, hey, Mom, I don't think so. But, it is really good.
Be their own advocate there.
Yes, they do.
Nobody else is going to be watching out for them and their grades but them.
It's part of adulting,
It's
right?
a part
Learning
of
to
adulting.
advocate for yourself.
And, and Skylar, and I may have mentioned this before, but she struggled her first semester with one of her classes. And she was too prideful to go talk to her professor and ask for help. And she felt like, well, I've never needed tutoring before because I'm smart enough to figure this out. But you know what? She wasn't because it got to be too late. She did go ask her professor. She was probably a month out of finishing the semester, said, I'm struggling. Finally, when we convinced her to go, and her professor was like, I will meet with you every day after class if you're willing to stay and work, and I will work with you. And he did every class twice a week for the whole month. But she still failed the class because it was too late. It was too late. And from that point on, she retook the class and she did go meet every professor and take every tutoring and every extra instruction available for the rest of her 3.5 years. And that became a part of her routine. That became a part of her habits and study habits. And because of that experience, because our kids are 5 years apart, Lucas, day one,
You knew
he
that was
knew
a
that he was going to
benefit.
go, and he took an exam, and he went and asked if he missed something. Let me find out what I did wrong to advocate for himself, because that's the only way to be really, truly successful. And it mattered because when she was trying to get into law school after that, she needed letters of recommendation, and her professors knew
Yes.
her.
And they knew her. That's such a good point.
So they already knew her, because usually, especially when you get to the classes for their major, they have the same professors. They teach multiple courses. So they knew her, and she didn't have a problem asking
And
for
that-
help because they knew who she was, and she got it.
That's really wise.
And sometimes we take for granted that, like, of course they know me, they take attendance, but
Not necessarily
no,
with
but they
that
don't.
many, but they do make themselves available. I think that
Mhm.
it seems like what
And they
they've said
do.
is they have office hours
Mhm. And they remember the students that go, because they don't all go.
For sure.
It does make a difference.
It's important.
tell her to do that. I'll get another. I know.
And it has to be them for themselves. And like I said, they have to be their own advocate, because you're not there to advocate for them. And if they don't do it, nobody's going to do it. They have to know that if they want to accomplish something, it's only going to happen if they do it.
Yeah.
If she has goals there, it's only going to happen if
If
she does it. Yeah.
Sure.
And that's the truth for everything that happens after this point. You can't go to the school.
And I'm looking forward to that, and it's kind of heart wrenching at the same
Mhm,
time.
for sure.
Yeah.
I know.
So learn the ropes.
As much as I'm so sad, I'm ready to let her. I want to see her fly like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and
do
flourish
amazing.
yeah.
I read a quote online that I wrote down because it really did encompass everything that we're discussing, is that a mother's job is to teach her children not to need her anymore. And the hardest part of that job is accepting success.
So I tell my husband, because I've been a stay-at-home
Yeah.
mom, and I tell my husband all the time, I'm working myself out of a job. This is terrible.
We raise our kids to leave. At least we did. I've been preparing them
Yeah.
for this moment
Yeah.
their whole life, you know?
No, for sure.
This is when you get to do all the things you imagined, all the things you wanted, all the big goals. This is when it starts happening.
Yeah.
But you have to put the work in. And if you're willing to put the work
Yeah.
in, great things will happen. But they have to want it for themselves. Let's go to something lighter.
Yeah.
You asked about the things that were necessary for a dorm and what was a waste.
Yes. Like, she wants all the things, and I'm happy to provide some of it, but I'm like, some of that,
And-
because I know what I used, but it's
Yeah.
been a long time.
Do you know what was a big waste? Which I'm sad, very sad and ashamed to say. Cleaning supplies. That was a big waste because that Swiffer was still in the box when we went to pick her up.
That is so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we wasted
They're
a lot
not-
of money
They're going to
on
get football games on Saturdays, not cleaning the
Yes,
bathroom.
I, for some reason, like I said, expected that every weekend she'd clean. She washed her clothes and her sheets and what
Yeah.
have you. The detergent is fine, but the extra stuff I thought should be dusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't. No,
Dusting.
if it happened, it did not happen with the
As-
supplies that I sent. And I also asked Skylar in preparation for this, what did we send you with that you didn't need? And she said, a mini fridge. I didn't need the mini fridge.
Really?
She goes, everything would go bad by the time I got to it. And if I was out at the library, I couldn't go back to my dorm to get it.
I'm thinking that's essential.
She's like, I bought a drink at Starbucks or I bought a tea at Chick-fil-A. I didn't ever go back to my dorm room to
Yeah.
go get something I needed. She goes, and all the snacks were dry snacks. There were like granola bars and chips and stuff. I didn't need the fridge. She's like, it just was one more thing for me to do when I left campus for the holidays. She had to clean it out and throw everything out. For her, that's what she felt. And she took too many shoes.
I mean, just like when it comes to a limited amount of sweaters, and you know what climate,
Mhm.
wherever you're going to be, your child's going to be,
Yeah.
kind of what climate it is.
She'll
But
need 'em.
just, you want to limit things. And she really needs like heavier coats and maybe mid-semester
Mhm,
or early part of
sunburn.
the fall or winter, get things up there slowly.
You don't have to
Yeah.
take everything at once. Our kids, and I think they're probably in the same region,
Yeah.
definitely rain boots and an umbrella.
I have
definitely.
picked up an umbrella. It was kind of a joke at the time because it never rains here. But
Yes.
it's like, this is called an umbrella.
Yeah, just an umbrella that goes in their backpack. And
That's on the top of
always-
my list too.
Yeah.
How many times that you just in the middle of the day
And they
get
buy
a
more.
rainstorm?
Like they break or it's
Yeah.
too windy or somebody stole it because they left it outside
Yeah.
the class or whatever. We bought many umbrellas. But rain boots, she went from the short rain boots to the tall rain boots because it rained all the time and it was muddy all the time. So
Yeah, walking to and from class. And sometimes you just get those random storms and they don't look at the weather. So
No.
it's always good to just have an umbrella that fits in their backpack. They don't even realize it's in there. Even just like those little ponchos, you know, because sometimes when they have to,
Carry
walk,
everything.
carry everything and they got their laptop in their backpack, just versus a raincoat. It's just going to be
Right.
too bulky, but they can always carry a foldable poncho
Poncho.
just to have, but the rain.
Should prepare for rain.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the time. Rain all the time or drizzle all the time. And the thing is that it happens inevitably when they're in class and they walk out and
What happened?
yes.
And they got
wasn't
to
raining,
get to, class across
and they run
campus,
and they get there.
They get soaked.
They
Yes.
get soaking
Yeah,
wet.
that is a good suggestion to me. Like, just
Yeah.
definitely.
Rain boots, if
Yeah, and
not.
just they can't take everything in their closet. And let me tell you, then they
Yeah,
start
'cause
building.
dorms do not offer a whole lot of
No.
If they are able to put sort of storage little plastic bins under their bed, like for the heavy sweaters and
Yeah.
things
Mhm.
like that. And then, of course, they accumulate a whole t-shirt wardrobe while they're there.
Mhm.
Oh,
T-shirt.
it's just like where
There
their
are t-shirts at
organizations, there's
every
always free
event.
t-shirt giveaways, and
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
what becomes their wardrobe, our t-shirts and jeans.
That's so
Or
And I
fun.
think
that
both
makes it.
my kids lived with one of those Yeti water bottles, something they could throw
Mhm.
in their bag. They constantly filling it up, and both of them have it all the time with them, and something durable.
And they have
They
those water fill stations
Yeah.
all around campus,
Yeah.
too. You don't know how long they'll be away from their dorm.
Right.
Right.
Just pack a granola bar. You just don't know. And I always tell them, hey, gosh, $20 cash, always with you. You don't
Yeah.
know if an ATM machine's going to be broken or just little things like just at least have that on hand. Be prepared.
For sure.
But,
And as far as packing, and I swear by them, and you'll see them if you look up anything on Pinterest for packing, those IKEA zip up bags. If you have not purchased them, purchase
not.
lots of them.
Okay.
They are amazing. They
Really?
fit so much in those bags, and then they just fold up after, and you can bring them home. And when you go
It's
get
not-
them, and they've made it the 5 years every year, and pass them down to Lucas, and we still have them, and we have a little tote in the garage with all the blue bags. They're these blue IKEA bags,
mhm.
Okay.
and they sell on Amazon like a generic brand of them,
Yeah.
but they're like a little rectangle, and those things fit everything. They
Really?
carry the shoes and the clothes and everything in there.
Everything.
And yeah, that they were amazing, and they've made it all the years, for lots of
That's good to
stuff.
know. Yeah, because where would you store suitcases and
There's
Exactly.
nowhere to do that.
No.
now that I think
Yeah.
about it, where would we
Mhm.
put
There's
that?
nowhere to do that.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's my advice. And the normal things, the sheets, surge protectors, plenty of chargers for their phone, extras, more than
That's
just
true.
the one. Mattress
Just-
topper.
Yeah. Just a little family photo. Remind them of home.
Yeah.
I'm the one that would always put a small little picture
A
just so you can have it on
token.
their desk.
You have
Just
to.
welcome home.
With Skylar, I did all the things. I had her little monogram thing for the
Oh,
wall. And I had,
yeah.
like I said, we did the matching comforters and
Yes.
pillows and all the things. And with Lucas was like, you need a comforter, right? So your kids are different, and let her dictate what she wants.
Wants or
Because
needs.
that's what Skylar wanted. She wanted it to feel nice and warm in her room, but don't get anything that she's not asking for. Really.
Right.
So
I
just
know.
just take her lead on it. Like,
Find myself. What about this? This is cool.
mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also have to remember that you have to pack it all up and bring it back.
That
So-
is
And that
very
is not
true.
fun. And like our university does amazing at moving. Like, man, it would happen so quick and efficient. But when you move out, there's nobody.
You're on your own, baby.
You're packing it yourself.
Yeah, there's nobody there to help.
Up and down the stairs, too.
I am
Mhm.
going to
Down
mention
the
that to
stairs.
her. I am going to tell her.
Yeah.
Remember,
You got to pack
you have
all
help
this
moving
up.
in. You're not going to have help moving out.
Yeah. And they came home for whatever break, or if we went up to visit, like, bring this or bring that. And you don't have to take everything. Let's just see how it goes
Yeah.
and figure it out. Yeah.
Like anything you accumulate.
hmm And they
You-
get a lot of stuff at school. Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of t-shirts for sure. And the final thing you asked about sororities.
Oh, yes. She's expressed a little bit of interest. She hasn't just been like, yes, this is what I
Mhm.
have to do it. So I've said, you can tell me if it's right or wrong. At her school, I believe they rush or do the
Mhm.
whole process at the beginning of the school year, which I wish there was time to wait, because how do you know
Yeah.
which sorority, who the people are and what? So I think we're going to have to wade through that.
Yeah. At Baylor, they don't let them rush their first semester. They rush in
like that.
spring.
Yeah.
And I think that's just an adjustment because they do require a lot of time. And I,
That's what I'm wondering. Like, is that a conflict?
right.
Of,
And
like,
Selena, you can speak to fraternity life. I mean, that is,
Yeah. I don't have experience with the sorority stuff. Our son definitely wanted to do it since his freshman year. And we said, no, We just needed
Yeah.
to see because we know our son. We want him to just see how are you gonna handle your academics
Yeah.
all fall, spring, and then into the summer still. He wanted to just give me the chance, give me the chance. And so he proved himself the first year of school. And so we said, okay. He did it his second year.
And
I think
But
that's good.
yeah,
Gives you a little more time to know who
and they
you're
don't
getting involved with,
right.
what you're signing up for.
Yeah, and they don't have to rush that first year. Skylar went in like, I will never be a sorority girl, like never. And you could have sworn up and down she would never be in a sorority. And when it opened in the spring, I asked her, "Are you going to go?" She's like, "No, mom, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be one of those girls." Okay. But her second year, she met someone in one of her classes that she got along with amazingly. And her friend said,
You should
you
rush.
should rush.
yeah.
And Skylar did join. It wasn't quite like a national sorority.
Mhm.
It was one of the first women's sororities at Baylor, and it was just directed to Baylor. And it's a service organization, quote unquote, is what she responded. But it's a sorority. There's no
Yeah.
two ways around it. They have
Yeah.
bees and they have all of the
Yeah.
same things. It's just, it's only at her school. But she joined, and she was the recruiting organizer her second semester in, and then the parliamentarian for 2 years after that. And she went through all the way through her senior year, and she loved it because there are benefits to it, and in the ways of the friends. And for her, they were required to volunteer at least 40 hours each semester. So she volunteered walking dogs and helping
Mhm.
clean up and paint. And that was really good. It was a service organization, and she loved it. And there was benefit. She lifelong friends through that.
Yeah. I'll have to help her. It's going to have to be her decision, I think, but
And finding
figure
one
out
that fits your values. Yeah.
what the benefit versus how much time is it that you have available. And
Because I will say, just from our perspective of the fraternity, yes, it's time consuming.
Yeah.
They do set aside time for their academics as pledges. They had to spend so many times in the library because academics are important. But regardless of that, it was a lot. It was very time consuming, a lot more than I expected. But
That's for sure.
yeah.
but
There's
they'll be spending their time
meetings.
somewhere. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. There's always meetings, always some sort of event, always some sort of fundraiser, some sort of volunteer effort. Saturday
Obligation.
morning, she was volunteering somewhere. And that was fine. She stayed busy, but managing that, like I mentioned, the difficulty she had her first semester, I don't know that she could have managed adding
Right.
that component to it or working or all of those things. So she had really a growing period that whole year. And she joined her second year, and she stayed for all 3 years, and she found a way to manage her time and how that worked. And she knew what happened.
I
And
guess I didn't even realize you could join. I thought if you weren't a freshman and rushed as a freshman, that your
yeah, and
opportunity was
have her
passed.
look into that. But that was not the case at Baylor at all. And I
Mhm.
guess not with Alejandro because he joined second
He
year.
enjoyed second year.
Mhm.
And I will say, at the end of the day, it's been a good thing for him. He's really enjoyed it. People he's met, that's who his roommates are going to be
Yeah.
this coming year,
Mhm.
are the people he's
His
met there at the
fraternity
fraternity.
brothers. And Lucas was going to rush in the spring and decided to wait because his other friends were waiting until second year, but now he wants to get a job. So there's no time to do both. You're either going to have work or you're going to put your time into this because it does require a lot of
A
time.
lot.
So there's just obligations that they've agreed to do to be part of that organization. And like I said, that requires recruiting other people, and that requires volunteering, and there are traditional events that they participate with, and it just adds up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but still, it's
It was good.
part
It
of
was
the
fun.
college
She loved it. Yeah.
experience. The college
Yeah.
experience we're talking about.
Again,
She's on the fence, so it'll
Again,
have
she'll have to
something.
meet people and see if they're her kind of people because
Yeah.
she's going to have to find her village and
Yes.
make her group.
I think in high school she had her
Mhm.
athletic team. So that was kind of her people. And then now she's not going to play college sport. So she's going to have to find a new group. And
Yes.
that's where she's like, where am I going to find my people?
Right.
Oh my gosh,
So-
but there's so many organizations. And again, at the beginning of the year, they have a whole week of welcoming, and
Yeah.
all the organizations, they're set up. It just unbelievable
All
how
unfolds.
it all unfolds.
And whatever she's studying, there's professional organizations and
Right.
groups they need to join as part of that. They have to do things for their majors, and then they'll meet people in their class they need to study with, and she'll find her group somehow. And also, like I said at the start, she'll determine her roommate might end up being her best friend. Her roommate might just be like, we'll see you next year. And
Yeah.
it's hit or miss, but sometimes they end up being lifelong friends and they meet this person from that person. And I met this person from this class, and they
Right.
just, it's very
Clicks.
natural. They figure it out. And if she's not figuring it out, then you have another discussion about what she needs to do. But for the most part, they'll work it
No,
out.
I anticipate she'll be good. It's all
You worrying
me.
about it?
It's all me.
And all normal. Those are all normal emotions.
Very normal. And do you have any other questions you could think?
I'm sure I'll lay my head down tonight and think of
I should have
10
asked.
more.
But I would like to get back together after you've moved her in to see how
Yeah.
that went, because that would be fun to know what your experience was.
Yes.
And
if I cried all the way home or
yes,
not.
or not, or
Or
you
not.
you
And
got
that's okay if you do.
yes,
You
No,
cry all the way home. That's
I'm
okay.
gonna try
or you
really
get
hard.
so frustrated moving her in that you're like, see ya,
Bye.
bye.
Good thing you're staying here.
Yes, we need a
'Cause
break.
you're not coming home
we
with
need
me.
we need at least a 4-month break.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's also a conversation to have. How are you going to go visit her? Is she going to come home? What does that look
Yeah.
like for you? I know we visited that first semester twice, and both times were disappointed at how little we got to see her. We did get to take all her friends out to eat at least twice. And then that was all we were good for after that, and some
Yeah.
groceries. And so the second semester, we didn't do as much. And
Yeah.
the years that go after that turn into the same thing, because
Mhm.
they dictate what they're doing. And if she misses you, if she wants to come home to visit, then let her come home and visit. If you feel like she's needing a little extra, then you go visit her, and you kind of figure that out and learn. But my kids were very much see ya. Like,
I anticipate a whole lot of, yeah,
Yeah.
see ya. You're still here.
mhm.
Got things to do.
Oh.
Yeah. And when they come home, a lot of, I want to be a kid again. Are you going to cook? Feed me?
Yeah.
They want to let go of that independent side and just want to be taken care of while they're home. That was my experience too.
Yes, I agree with that. I do agree.
Like,
Yeah.
where
That's how
did
it
the
is.
adult go?
Yes.
Hey, just sometimes you
You're so
want to go
grown.
visit them. They're like, Mom, got a test on Monday. I got a test
Mhm.
on Tuesday. And truly, you won't see them. They're
And that's not
dedicating
fair
their
to them,
and it's
'cause
not fair
they're-
to, yeah. You don't want to feel them like guilty. I've got to spend
Mhm.
time with my parents. And so that's why ahead of time when you're talking to them on the phone, hey, when you have exams coming up, so that you don't plan a trip, but they've got those things to prepare
Right.
for their exams.
And
So,
we did a lot with Lucas his first year, this past year. If we were going to be in the area within a couple of hours, and you might have that with your other kids playing sports and stuff, and
Yeah.
be like, we're 2 hours away. Do you want us to stop by? We can stop by just for the day, just go eat, if you are okay with that.
Yeah.
And every single time he said, I'm fine with that. And we took that as a yes,
Yeah.
we're going. And we did. And just for the day, we just picked him
In
up,
and
went
out.
to eat, took him to get some groceries, and that was it. And sometimes he'd be like, I got to be done by 6 because I have to be at this place. So there's a basketball game, or we're doing this, or I have a test, and we
Yeah.
just took what we
On
could
with
if we
life.
were. Mhm. We definitely didn't drive 7 hours just for that. But if we had
Right.
things in the area that we could get to him within a couple hours, and we would make that drive.
Right.
So
I love it. Y'all have already been there. It helps me so much. I can envision it already.
yeah, and that's what I didn't have. I didn't have anybody to tell me,
Some of these things are like light bulb moments where I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to be a whole
And-
lot more prepared now.
And it was different. When I left to college, my parents were like, bye, see ya, pack your stuff in the car. I drove
Yeah.
myself, and call me sometime
yeah.
kind of thing.
I think my husband and I come at it because that's what happened to him. It was like he drove cross country and they were like, see ya.
Mhm.
And my parents helped me move in and they were there for me. So I'm like,
Mhm.
oh.
So it's a really different experience, but it's, like I said, for the most part, just let her dictate what that looks like for her.
That's good advice.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
It'll work out.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. I enjoyed the conversation. I hope we were helpful, Karen.
Yes, you really, I'm telling you, I had some moments of like, okay, I hadn't even thought about that. And I'm going to be able to hopefully be much more prepared, I think.
We're looking forward to the recap.
I won't stay all
Yes.
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Leave
We-
the next day. Yes, for
Stay.
sure. Just plan to go. If you think you've stayed too long, it's been too
It's
long.
been too long.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.